With a tag team possibly on their way to WWE and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Going over his separation from Giovanni Vinci and kicking the Star out of Imperium during an episode of Raw, Ludwig Kaiser said this to Sporks: "Yes, it was even sorely needed. He had more of the team than I did. It was kept below because you want to see more of me in the next few years. I have to concentrate on myself. That's the way it is in wrestling. There is always a compromise in a team. You can never do what you want. I was always convinced that I would do everything to become a big name in WWE, even in view of my father's legacy. It was important for me to do my thing alone. You also saw it immediately. Within a few weeks, my stock has risen extremely." Asked about the differences between AEW and WWE, Bryan Danielson told Gorilla Position, "Like anything else, there are positives and negatives on both sides, especially with AEW being a newer company. They don't necessarily have the infrastructure for some of the things you'd expect in WWE. For example, at WWE, when you arrived at the building, you'd go straight to talent relations. At least when I was there, things have probably changed a lot since then. I don't want to speak to exactly how things work now, but you'd go to talent relations and they tell you what's scheduled for the week, this, and this. Sometimes you wouldn't know what you were doing until late in the day, but there was this internal structure. At AEW, we don't necessarily have that structure yet. You don't check in with talent relations when you first arrive to get a schedule of media interviews, sign cards, or complete other tasks. Even the process with writers is more structured and formalized in WWE compared to AEW. One of the big things I've loved about AEW is that we're essentially a TV company. We focus on the TV product, which allows me to spend more time at home with my family. I also enjoy the creative freedom and the ability to do things I couldn't before. There are trade-offs, but I love being part of AEW and helping to build this new company. It's beneficial for everyone, including wrestlers in AEW and even those in WWE who are seeing higher salaries because of the existence of this second brand." Providing an update on Women's World Champion of WWE, Liv Morgan, Ringside News wrote that according to a report by Variety, Liv Morgan is signed with Paradigm Talent Agency for representation in all areas. It was noted that she continues to be represented by attorney Brad Small at Fox Rothschild. Morgan has acted in the independent film The Kill Room, where she starred alongside Maya Hawke, Samuel L. Jackson, and Uma Thurman. She has also appeared in TV shows such as Chucky and has been featured in reality series like Total Divas, Ms. and Mrs., and Jersey Shore Family Vacation. Liv Morgan's decision to join Paradigm aligns her with former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest, Tiffany Stratton, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk, forming a strong roster poised to elevate their profiles in mainstream entertainment. Mentioning his interest in coming out of retirement to wrestle against Bryan Danielson, commentator for AEW Nigel McGuinness said this to Chris Van Vliet: "It certainly feels like that. You know what I mean? It certainly feels like that. All roads to me, I think, certainly aimed towards him." Because there's so much talent in AEW, so many young guys who deserve those spots. I'm very inspired by Christian Cage, obviously, and Adam Copeland, as much as I'd hate to admit it. These guys can show that they haven't lost a step. They can still go, and all the knowledge that they have, they can convey and pass on to the next generation by being in the ring with them as well. I've been like, wow. Getting back in the ring, I felt like, wow, it is such a strange realization when you figure out that the only thing stopping you from being a wrestler is you. Now, having said that, I've certainly got no desire to step away from the announcing booth. I don't want to become a full-time wrestler. I don't really want to wrestle anymore, to be honest with you, other than beating Bryan, obviously, because that's our story, there's our history. Addressing his meeting in an airport with Shane McMahon, AEW President Tony Khan told Sedano and Cap, "As I understand, he's not doing anything with WWE, and I had a really nice visit with him. I heard from a lot of people that he was interested in talking, and it had become, frankly, a big media story to the point where I was getting asked on the record questions about it, and I answered them. Just like I'll answer you now. In advance of, I had never met him, and my first conversation with him, there was a lot of buzz about this. I thought it would certainly be worth talking, and I have a lot of respect for him. I had never met him, but he seemed like a really nice guy. I sat down with him. He was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking with him. He is a very smart person about wrestling, and I thought he was a great guy. We have a lot of mutual friends, and we both happen to be in Dallas. A mutual friend linked us up who is one of the bigger names in pro wrestling, and that friend put us on a group chat. I had a really nice talk, and I really enjoyed visiting with him. Clearly, there was a lot of interest in it. Somebody in the middle of talking at an airport conference room. Somebody just busted in and took a photo. I think that's fine. I enjoyed the conversation, and there is nothing wrong with a couple of people getting together and talking about wrestling. That's part of what makes wrestling so great. There is a lot to talk about, and we're all fans at heart. It's a big thing. It's exciting. It was nice to talk to him. I don't know what's to come, but it's an exciting time in AEW. In a video, WWE superstars can be seen arriving to Monday Night Raw this week.
Yo, free! ¡Al campeón! ¡Hueva! ¡Hueva! ¡Mami! Mommy! God damn, you look good as shit! Look at all that ass! Yeah! God damn, mommy, you sexy bitch!
As Odyssey Jones finally made his official debut on Raw after being drafted to the brand 2 years in a row, Ringside News added that, according to PW Insider Elite, WWE is internally thrilled with the massive social media numbers surrounding Odyssey Jones' debut on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Elite Rockers also noted this stat on X, writing, Odyssey Jones' debut last night on Raw has garnered over 8 million views on all of WWE's social platforms. Just for comparison, Okada's debut has 4.5 million views, Mercedes' debut has 6 million views, Ospreay's debut has 4 million views. Odyssey Jones has outdrawn the big three AEW signings. Talk about the run that Mercedes Moné has had thus far in AEW. WWE Hall of Famer and former WCW President Eric Bischoff said this on his 83 Weeks podcast. When you look at especially Mercedes, she comes in with a reportedly, though we don't know if it's true, $5 million plus contract, one of the highest paid women's wrestlers. If you compare the 4-week ratings for Dynamite before her arrival with her premiere episode, which, by the way, was lower than the 4-week average that preceded her arrival, that should tell you something right off the bat. But then you see how much the ratings have dropped since she came on board. It's embarrassing. Those are the numbers that matter. If I were Mercedes, I'd be terrified to put such a high price tag on myself. Demand reportedly, though we don't know if it's true. Creative control, and then exercise that creative control, only to lose ground and audience in the process. That's a number that matters. Revealing what fans can expect from his upcoming WWE retirement tour for next year, John Cena told Extra, "It's going to be fun, and not bittersweet for me, it's going to be fun. I'm so grateful that I'm in a position where I still have my health and I'm able to carve out a large section of time and perform for a year from January until December. And give everyone also a heads up. A lot of times in WWE, sometimes injuries force retirement all of a sudden. So one day you're there and then the next day you're gone. Or sometimes you just say you're retiring and it's part of the bit. Like you want to attack somebody and get a shot at the championship. This is my way for an audience that has made me who I am after 23 years of investment to say, hey, I'm going to give you 6 months, that's your warning, and then in January we're going on tour, and then in December I'm hanging them up. So let's all get together at various spots around the world the next calendar year and get loud and rowdy one more time." Following Monday Night Raw, CM Punk can be seen going after Drew McIntyre backstage. Recapping the situation surrounding Britt Baker's suspension from AEW and what she has going on in terms of outside projects, Ringside News wrote that Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who made a surprise return at AEW ex New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door after a year-long hiatus, had been suspended following a backstage confrontation with MJF. The conflict began when Baker made comments about MJF and his girlfriend Alicia Atout, leading to a heated argument. Despite the HR investigation and a brief suspension, Baker continued to appear on TV. Moreover, reports stated that Baker's suspension was mentioned on AEW Dynamite last week to add more heat to Mercedes Moné's storyline and upcoming match at All In for the TBS Championship, and would possibly carry forward with Baker's return to television this week. However, amidst her suspension, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Britt Baker will appear in Season 6 of Cobra Kai, which premieres on Netflix on November 15th. Baker will be part of the team competing in the Sekai Taikai International Karate Tournament in the show. The first half of the season leading up to the tournament is currently streaming on Netflix. Notably, Martin Kove, who portrays John Kreese, appeared on the February 16th, 2022 episode of AEW Dynamite 2 Offer Advice to Baker. On the other hand, with AEW All In set for August 25th at Wembley Stadium, Britt Baker's return this week will further build her storyline with Mercedes Moné heading into the pay-per-view. At Raw, a fan apparently had too much to drink and needed to be escorted out of the CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore. Here are the clips.
Put him in that fucking Cobra clutch. He'll go out. Cobra clutch him. Cobra guard. You ain't take my camera. I ain't a fucking U.S. citizen. Don't fucking take it. Oh, fight his foot. Fight his foot. Fuck him up. Yeah. DC goes. DC goes. DC goes. That's my son. Oh! How do you shoot Daddy? He's an AEW fan. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. There you go.
Stop. Don't kick him. Don't kick him. Stop. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Get out. Let him go. Stop.
Try to kick him.
Stop. Just relax. Look at me. I know. I got it. Oh, fuck.
You probably got a mental illness or something now.
No, my bad. Fucking call 911. My bad. Call 911.
You got 911. What are you talking about? Come first, let's help the enemy down here.
No, I'm not gonna fight you.
All this shit fucking WWE. This ain't 20 years ago when this company had value, dude. You gotta get kicked out of AEW like me. Come on, dude. This ain't right. No, just let him take you. No, man. You're gonna be alright. Fight. You're gonna be alright. Just let him take you.
Ow! Fuck! Fuck! Ow!
Stop. If you put him in, stop. That's why I say he gotta be able to stop. Bent body and all that. You can breathe. Taking you down, dude.
Back in June, a report regarding the AEW status of Penta El Cerro Miedo was provided by Lucha Libre Online, who wrote on X that Pentagon Jr.'s contract with AEW is scheduled to expire between August and September 2024. He is scheduled to become a free agent. There is interest on the part of the WWE in his services. This free agency will be extremely interesting. It was then added in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Penta's AEW contract, which has been talked about some of late, expires in roughly 2 months. For months we've heard he's open to leaving. Now, Brian Alvarez has said this for the Wrestling Observer. The internal belief within AEW is that both Penta and Rey Fenix would be leaving the company for WWE when their contracts expire. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.